Well, South Africans spent close to 4 billion rand on food and drink in September. It's the third highest spending since January 2009. Up to 3.9 billion rand was spent at restaurants, and coffee shops made close to 2 billion rand. Fast food outlets received 1.5 billion rand. Last year, a total of 42.94 billion was spent at restaurants, coffee shops and fast food outlets, as well as on catering services. The survey figures are based on data received from a sample of 900 enterprises around the country. The festive season is traditionally a time to shop. Retailers and service providers look forward to cashing in on the Christmas rush. But has Eskom's rolling blackouts put a spanner in the works? We went to find out whether no lights means less money in the tills.
Malls are abuzz at this time of the year. Trolleys, shopping bags and lots of people spending lots of money. But it's not looking so bright for some retailers as Eskom switches the power off.
Since the load shedding has begun and we've had 3 days of it, I would estimate that we've lost about 120,000 rands in turnover, and that for us is a lot of money.
When load shedding does take place, it's just people just get so disheartened. They pack up and they maybe shop elsewhere.
But for some, the draw of the shop is just too much.
Now at home, if there's no electricity, I trust the mall because they do have generators, and obviously I'm going to get some nice food in.
The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry says load shedding affects all its members.
When one looks at retail, one looks at the services industry, when one looks at tourism, there is a dramatic impact on those industries. In the tourism industry, it's probably to a greater extent fears about what's to come as opposed to actual business impact. On the retail and services side, they're feeling the impact every day.
Saki also says it's crucial for businesses to have certainty so that they can at least plan ahead. Tabang Masanabo, Johannesburg.
Well, stockvels are still a very popular way of saving for many South Africans, but the new trend is to put money away for investment and creating wealth rather than saving up only for funerals and groceries. As we unpack the trends and methods of saving using a stockvel, we're joined by Mike Brown, Managing Director of ETF South Africa. Mike, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Good
evening to you.
Have we quantified the value of the stockvel industry in South Africa?
I've seen some figures saying it's as high as 40 billion rand. Now, that's pretty big. You could build an Eskom power station for about 40 billion rand.
You could, right? All of that money being kept under mattresses.
Yeah.
Certainly you could do that. But I just wonder, have we truly moved away from stockvels being purely for burial societies and saving up for groceries in December to them actually being a mechanism for creating wealth?
Yes, I think up until now, a stockvel's been where people put money away and they then go and, shop for groceries at the end of a certain period. So it's all been short-term stuff.
Yeah.
But increasingly we're finding communities are saying, well, we want to invest for longer-term future, for education for our children or for our retirement. Now, how do we do that? And it might be a lot better for people to look at doing this on a community basis. So you get a Vesta club going or a stockvel. You get a group of people who've got different sorts of talents and you sit around and chat about it once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
And then you start saying, well, let's have longer term objectives towards building wealth and building independence for all of us together. And that's what a stockvel can now become, a savings club or an investment club.
Yeah. Do we have the tools or the right investment mechanisms that have the flexibility that allows people, people in a stockvel typically want to be able to get their money out, so the liquidity that's necessary for that. And of course, some want to save for a long term. So do we have the kind of investment tools that have that flexibility?
Well, most people in stockvels are looking just at putting money into banks.
Yeah.
So you put your savings in a bank account and you get 4 or 5% per annum, and the inflation rate 6%, so you're not actually growing your money. So what stockvels are saying, well, how do we get investing in stock markets?
Yes.
Because over the last 10 years, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has gone up by at least 20% per annum. Not every single year, but 20% per annum on average. And listed property shares have gone up by 23%. And even government bonds, which is long-term fixed interest bonds issued by the government, have been rising by 10 11% per annum. So how do we get into those various types of asset classes and different types of investments? And I think there's two areas. One is you can use unit trusts, which are sort of cooperative collective investment schemes that give you access to these products. But most of the new money is looking at ETFs. That's where I come from. And an ETF, an exchange traded fund, is just a share that sits on the stock market and lists and trades on the stock market. But what an ETF does is it gives you access to a whole portfolio or an index of shares. So you can buy an ETF that says, well, this gives you access to the top 40 shares on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So you buy one ETF and you own a little bit of all the top 40 shares on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. That takes away some of your risk because you're not buying one company, you're buying 40 companies, and that reduces risk, diversifies your portfolio. But you can also buy ETFs that give you exposure to, say, the top 600 shares in America. And everybody knows the American economy is where you want to be at the moment.
Yes, that's the only one that seems to be growing right now.
Or you want to buy government bonds because you want to diversify, or buy listed property shares. So ETFs will give you access to each of those asset classes. And you can put a small amount of money away. You can put 300 Rand a month away or 1,000 Rand away into any of those ETFs. And most stockvels can do that. You've got 20 people putting in 100 Rand a month. That's 2,000 Rand a month. For that, I can buy 5 or 6 different ETFs, give me access to all different types of asset classes and different types of investments. And you can do it yourself. You don't need an expert to do it. Because most people now go and look on the internet. They go and look on Google. And all ETFSA is and other places like it is we give information. We tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. And we'll also do the transactions for you. So it's become a lot easier for people to do it themselves. And I think investment's been a mystery to a lot of people, and they get scared about it, and it's a mystique. And only somebody really smart can do it. Well, we can all do it. I mean, I can do it.
Exactly.
So can you do it?
And people think that also it's going to cost them a lot of money.
Yes.
So when you look at a flat fee structure or something that doesn't cost you much, but actually helps you to create wealth, that's quite important.
Well, in ETFSA, you can invest 1,000 Rand and we charge you 7 Rand a year, 0.7%. So 7 Rand, not 7 Rand up front, 7 Rand a year. Now, that's not a lot of money. I mean, you can't buy anything for 7 Rand. You can't even buy,
a loaf of bread for that.
You can't even buy half a loaf of bread. So, so investment doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complex. It just requires the investor club or stockvel to go out there and do a little bit of homework. And also to find that, the stock exchange itself is becoming quite friendly.
To retail
does lots of
investors.
education seminars, and we do a lot of those with the JSE. So I think stockvels are moving away from being the old, let's go shopping at the end of every month.
We'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time today. Mike Brown is Managing Director of ETF South Africa. Now, Greek lawmakers have approved the country's spending plan for 2015. It's forecast a 2.9% growth and a deficit of 0.6%. Plans, economists say, are too ambitious.
Greek lawmakers have agreed on a budget outlining the country's financing needs, scheduled tax payments and value-added tax. But creditors think it's too ambitious after receiving up to 3.3 trillion rand in bailout assistance. The European Commission, European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund have bailed out the country since 2010.
The
bailout program is coming to an end. The support program for Greece and the borrowing will be completed a year earlier than anticipated.
European financiers say Greece will need an extra 42.3 billion rand to meet its targets. That's if plans to cut taxes against parliamentarians go ahead. Opposition parties say Greece is trapped.
The bailout program is not something that you can enter and exit at any time you want. Those who serve the bailout cannot easily find the exit. The bailout program is an establishment. It is the framework of laws regulating the entire economic spectrum, from the labor market to the planning of the budget. And you brought this bailout here to stay?
Protests have broken out as a result, putting Samaras under pressure to shake off his European financiers.
Our daily question and answer feature is up next. Stay with us.